Business leaders are facing a number of issues in the construction sector currently. So we've put together the 6th annual BDO Construction Sector Report. The report had over 210 respondents, so it's a terrific reflection of what's going on in the wider construction market. The respondents, about half of them had more than 50 employees and or greater than 10 million turnover. So our report has identified issues currently in the sector and some potential solutions for those business leaders. So where's the sector at right now? The sector's come off historic highs of work to more of a stable level. And that's been impacted greatly by macroeconomic factors such as higher inflation, higher interest rates, and government policies. And look, that's been illustrated and supported by the number of consents falling quite significantly during the last calendar year. There seems to be a long tail of work for many, but not all. Those sector-specific issues which we saw over the last couple of years being material price and availability or access to labour, they're not quite as prevalent as they had been over the last couple of years. But what we're seeing now is those broader economic issues that are causing a real issue for our business leaders in the construction sector. Looking at the specific areas of the sector, we're finding it's those smaller companies that are generally having the issues with the forward work. And a lot of that's to do with the current macroeconomic conditions of interest rates and inflation. And they're also impacted because they probably don't have the tail of work like those larger companies do. So what are the big issues driving this picture? Well, interest rates, but the good news about interest rates, they're just slowly starting to come down now. Inflation's obviously a major factor, but again, their rate of inflation is slowly starting to come down. Staffing, that's a major issue. Quite interesting is that in our survey, 2/3 of our respondents still said they were actively looking for staff. Somewhat surprising given what the recent media tension's been on the construction sector. There seems to be a real lack of certainty in the market in terms of forward work, in particular with government work. A lot of construction companies rely on government work, and they made comments in our survey saying that they're really unsure on what government work's coming up. Not just the education sector, which so many rely on, but all government sectors. And another major issue in the industry is finance, in terms of access to finance. A lot of our respondents said they find it quite difficult to get finance currently. What was interesting was that 68% of our respondents said they were actively looking for staff, and most of those were actually quite confident that they could fill those gaps. So what are some of our key takeouts? Well, the forward work position is normalised. Just under half of our respondents said they have more than 12 months sufficient forward work. But there was a real concern in the survey to what happens after that 12-month period. Gross margins, we haven't seen that increase in gross margins like we had seen in our previous surveys, with only 24% of our respondents saying that their gross margins had increased on the previous year. I was both surprised but very pleased to see that 2/3 of our respondents said they were actively looking for staff. So this would imply that mass layoffs in the construction sector are probably unlikely. Cash flow is a major issue for many of our respondents, but that's unsurprising, given inflation, interest rates, and the inability or difficulty of a lot of people trying to get finance. And mental health seems to be a key issue, as shown in our BDO Business Wellbeing Index. The key trends in our report really back up what our BDO specialists are seeing nationally. The issues that we are seeing are a long tail of work, which is keeping most in the industry busy, but not all. The challenges in terms of getting access to funding or financing, a real improvement in the supply chain. Certainly labour is a really, really big challenge still in the industry. There's a lot more tendering going on, which has a tendency to create a race to the bottom, which obviously drops gross margins. A lot more uncertainty in the residential industry, which is generally driven by higher interest rates. But the real issue that resonated with me was government decision making. A lot of our respondents in the survey, we're seeing this with clients as well, are really having issues with government decision making in terms of that pipeline of work coming through. And that's creating a lot of delays and a lot of uncertainty. So what the government really needs to do is come up with a key, really, really clear strategy to assist people in the industry. You'll find a lot of detail on subsector trends in our report. Some of these include subcontractors. They seem to be having an issue with forward work and cash flow. In the civil construction industry, there seems to be a downwards trend in gross margin percentage. the labour issues that the industry currently facing, they seem to be predominantly in Auckland more so than other parts of the country. There seems to be a trend back towards tendering, and there seems to have been less tendering in recent years, but a lot more now. And obviously with the residential sector, there seems to be quite an issue with forward work. There are a number of positives in the report, including the confidence in companies and the ability to hire or recruit. And another really positive in the report was that those sector-specific issues which were so prevalent in the sector, over the last few years, seem to have subsided. And it'll be really interesting to see in the next government budget coming up what their spend's going to be in the infrastructure sector in terms of getting that, that part of the sector really going. Perhaps most importantly, in our construction report, you'll find a wide range of tips to help you navigate these challenging times. These include things such as embracing technology to improve efficiency in your business, doing due diligence. I think that's so important. The principal doing due diligence on the head contractor doing due diligence on the subcontractor, techniques to keep your key employees in your business. Competition's a lot tighter out there at the moment, so thinking about ways you could stand out in the tendering process, taking professional advice, especially when things get tough. And what do you do when things do get tough and revenue falls? How do you downsize your business, and what key costs can you cut? We hope you find the insights and tips of our BDO Construction Report of value to your business. And as always, please reach out to your BDO advisor for any assistance you need.